The Emperor's laughter echoed through the throne room as blue lightning tore into Luke Skywalker. The young Jedi writhed in agony, his screams filling the chamber. Darth Vader stood frozen, his yellow eyes locked on his suffering son. But something shifted. Not compassion, not love, opportunity. Palpatine was distracted, vulnerable. For the first time in decades, the Sith Master had turned his back on his apprentice. Vader's mechanical hand tightened into a fist. The dark side surged through him, not to save Luke, but to seize what he had been denied for so long. Power. In one fluid motion, Vader ignited his crimson lightsaber and drove it through Palpatine's back. The Emperor's lightning sputtered and died. His twisted face turned, shock and fury blazing in his yellow eyes. Treach! Vader twisted the blade. The word died in Palpatine's throat. The Emperor of the Galactic Empire crumpled to the floor, lifeless. Silence fell over the throne room. Luke stared in horror, his body trembling from the Force lightning. He looked up at his father, searching for a glimmer of the man Obi-Wan had once known. He found only darkness. The Emperor is dead. Vader's voice rumbled, cold and absolute. I am your ruler now. Luke struggled to his feet, lightsaber igniting in his hand. You didn't do this for me. No, Vader admitted. I did it for the Empire, for order, for power that should have always been mine. You're just like him. Luke shouted, rage and grief cracking his voice. Vader turned his masked gaze on his son. I'm stronger than him. Join me, Luke. Together, we will bring true peace to the galaxy. There will be no mercy, no weakness, only strength. Luke's grip tightened on his weapon. Before he could answer, Imperial guards stormed into the throne room, weapons raised. They hesitated, seeing their Emperor dead and Vader standing over the body. Vader's voice cut through the confusion like a blade. Kneel or die. Within hours, the galaxy knew. Emperor Palpatine was dead. Darth Vader had taken the throne. Across 1,000 star systems, Imperial officers faced an impossible choice: bow to the Dark Lord or carve out their own piece of the crumbling empire. On Coruscant, the Imperial palace became a fortress. Vader stood in the Emperor's war room, surrounded by holograms of planetary governors, Moffs, and fleet admirals. Most had gone silent. A few had declared open rebellion. Grand Moff Artus Kane was the first to speak. His hologram flickered with disdain. You were a servant, Vader. A weapon. You have no right to rule. Vader's respirator hissed in the silence. I killed the Emperor. That gives me every right. Admiral Rey Sloane's image appeared next, her tone measured but firm. The Empire needs stability, not a Sith Lord playing Emperor. The Moff Council should govern until there is no council, Vader interrupted, his voice as cold as the void. There is only me. Another hologram blinked out. Then another. By the end of the transmission, only a handful of loyalists remained. Vader's gloved fist slammed onto the table. The metal buckled beneath his rage. The Empire was fracturing. In the Outer Rim, Admiral Kane rallied the Third Fleet and declared himself warlord of the Pentastar alignment. In the core worlds, Sloane seized control of the Imperial Navy's largest battle groups, refusing to take orders from Vader. Lesser Moffs followed, each carving territories of their own. Vader had won the throne, but the Empire was slipping through his fingers. His thoughts turned to Luke. The boy had escaped during the chaos, rescued by rebel commandos. Vader had allowed it, not out of mercy, but calculation. Luke was strong in the Force. With time, Vader could turn him. Together, they would crush the warlords and restore order. But time was a luxury Vader no longer had. A coded transmission arrived from the Executor. Vader's flagship had been boarded by mutinous officers. His own men were turning against him. The Dark Lord ignited his lightsaber. It was time to remind the galaxy what happened to traitors. The rebel flagship Home One drifted in the depths of space, hidden among a nebula's swirling gases. Inside the war room, the Alliance leadership was fracturing. This changes everything, Mon Mothma said, her voice strained. Vader has seized control. We don't know what kind of empire he'll build. It doesn't matter, Admiral Akbar countered. He's still a tyrant. We fight him just as we fought Palpatine. Leia stood at the edge of the table, arms crossed, her eyes on Luke. He hadn't spoken since his rescue. His gaze was distant, lost in the memory of the throne room. She approached him quietly. Luke, talk to me. He finally looked at her. He didn't save me, Leia. He killed the Emperor because he wanted power. Not because he loved me. Not because there's still good in him. Then we fight him, Leia said firmly. We end this. Before Luke could respond, the comm station crackled. A hologram flickered to life in the center of the room. Darth Vader's towering image filled the space, his respirator echoing like a death knell. Rebels of the Alliance, Vader's voice rumbled. The Emperor is dead. I am your ruler now. Surrender, and I will grant you mercy. Refuse, and I will burn every world that shelters you. Silence. Then Vader's gaze seemed to pierce through the hologram, directly at Luke. My son, you have a choice. Join me, and together we will end this war. The galaxy will have peace, order, strength. Luke's fists clenched. I'll never join you. Then you will die, Vader said simply. But not before you watch everyone you love fall first. The transmission ended. The room erupted in shouts. Some wanted to scatter the fleet. Others wanted to strike Coruscant immediately. Luke stood frozen, Vader's words echoing in his mind. Join me or die. Leia grabbed his arm. Luke, don't listen to him. He's trying to manipulate you. But Luke wasn't so sure anymore. What if joining Vader was the only way to stop him? Palpatine had always been calculating. Strategic. He saw the rebellion as a political tool, something to control, manipulate, and eventually crush when it served his purposes. Vader had no such patience. Within weeks, the galaxy burned. The Dark Lord personally led Imperial fleets in a campaign of annihilation. There were no negotiations, no mercy. Worlds that harbored rebels were glassed from orbit. Entire star systems went dark as Vader's forces swept through them like a storm. On Chandrila, Mon Mothma's homeworld, civilians evacuated in panic as star destroyers filled the sky. Vader descended in a shuttle, flanked by stormtroopers and inquisitors. He found Mothma hiding in an underground bunker, guarded by a handful of rebel soldiers. They didn't stand a chance. Vader's lightsaber carved through them in seconds. Mothma stood defiant, even as the Dark Lord loomed over her. You can kill me, Vader, but the rebellion will never die. It will, Vader said, his voice devoid of emotion, because I will kill everyone who believes in it. He didn't execute her. Instead, he took her prisoner, broadcasting her capture across every rebel channel. The message was clear: surrender or share her fate. Admiral Akbar's fleet attempted a counteroffensive near Sullust. Vader met them with the full might of the Imperial Navy. The Executor led the charge, its turbo lasers tearing through cruisers like paper. Akbar barely escaped with his life, his forces reduced to a fraction of their strength. The rebellion was dying. On Home One, the surviving leaders gathered in desperation. Leia stood at the center, exhausted and furious. We can't keep running. We have to fight back. With what? General Madine asked bitterly. Half our fleet is gone. Our supply lines are shattered. Vader is hunting us like animals. Luke stepped forward, his voice quiet but firm. Then I'll face him. It's the only way to end this. No, Leia snapped. That's exactly what he wants. Maybe, Luke admitted. But if I don't, how many more people will die? The room fell silent. Luke's decision was made. He was going to Coruscant. The throne room was silent. Darth Vader sat alone on the Emperor's seat, his gloved hands gripping the armrests. Outside the viewport, Coruscant's endless cityscape glittered beneath him. Billions of lives, all under his control. He should have felt triumphant. Instead, he felt nothing. No, that wasn't true. He felt her. Padme. Her presence haunted him, lingering at the edges of his thoughts like a ghost. He saw her face in his dreams, Not the broken woman who died on Mustafar, but the senator he had loved. The woman who believed he could be a hero. What have you become, Ani? Her voice echoed in his mind, soft and sorrowful. Vader's respirator hissed faster, his breathing uneven. He stood abruptly, pacing the throne room like a caged beast. The dark side churned within him, feeding on his rage, his pain, his guilt. She is dead, he said aloud, his voice sharp. She has been dead for years, but the memory persisted. He thought of Luke, his son. The boy had her eyes, her strength, her defiance. Vader had tried to kill him once. Now, he wanted to rule beside him. Was that love? Or just another form of possession? You're not saving the galaxy, Anakin. You're destroying it. Silence! Vader roared, his fists slamming into the wall. The metal buckled beneath his fury. Anger surged through him, dark and consuming. The pain was familiar, comforting. It drowned out the doubt, the weakness, the hope that still flickered somewhere deep inside. He had killed Palpatine. He had claimed the Empire. He had brought order through strength. That was enough. It had to be enough. But as Vader stared at his reflection in the polished viewport, he saw only a machine. A monster wrapped in black armor and hatred. What would Padme think of him now? The question lingered, unanswered. A sudden alert chimed. Vader's head snapped toward the console. Imperial intelligence had detected a single X-Wing entering Coruscant's atmosphere. The pilot's signature was unmistakable. Luke Skywalker had come to face him. Luke's X-Wing touched down on the Imperial landing platform, surrounded by dozens of stormtroopers. He powered down the engines and climbed out slowly, hands raised. His lightsaber remained clipped to his belt. He hadn't come to fight. Not yet. An Imperial officer approached, blaster trained on him. Luke Skywalker, you're under arrest. I'm here to see my father, Luke said calmly. Take me to him. The officer hesitated, then spoke into his comlink. Moments later, the reply came. Vader's voice, cold and commanding. Bring him to me. Luke was escorted through the palace corridors, past marble pillars and towering statues of Imperial might. Stormtroopers lined the halls, their weapons tracking his every step. He felt the dark side pressing down on him, thick and suffocating. Finally, the throne room doors hissed open. Vader stood at the viewport, his back to Luke, his silhouette framed against the glowing city below. The respirator's rhythmic breathing filled the silence. You came, Vader said, still facing away. I expected you to flee, to hide with the rebels. I came to save you, Luke replied, his voice steady. Vader turned slowly, his masked gaze unreadable. Save me? I am the ruler of the galaxy, boy. I have more power than any Sith before me. And you're more alone than ever, Luke countered, stepping forward. You killed the Emperor. You crushed the rebellion. But what's left? Fear? Obedience? That's not peace. That's tyranny. Order requires sacrifice, Vader said coldly. I will not apologize for strength. This isn't strength, Father. It's fear. You're afraid to let go. Afraid to be Anakin again. Vader's hand twitched toward his lightsaber. Anakin Skywalker is dead. I destroyed him. No, Luke said softly. He's still there. I feel it. I know you do too. For a moment, Vader said nothing. The silence stretched. Then his voice came, quieter than before, almost uncertain. Even if he were, it is too late. Luke took another step. It's never too late. Vader's lightsaber ignited with a crimson hiss. Then prove it. Their lightsabers collided with a thunderous crack. Luke's green blade met Vader's crimson, the clash sending sparks cascading across the throne room floor. Vader pressed the attack, his strikes powerful and relentless. Luke parried desperately, each blow driving him backward. He wasn't trying to win. He was trying to survive long enough to reach his father. Why do you hesitate? Vader demanded, his voice tight with fury. Strike me down. Prove your strength. I won't fight you to kill you. Luke shouted back, deflecting another crushing blow. I'm here to save you. Then you will die. Vader unleashed a flurry of attacks, his rage fueling every swing. Luke stumbled, his defenses crumbling. The Dark Lord's blade sliced across his shoulder. Luke cried out, falling to one knee. Vader loomed over him, lightsaber raised. "You were a fool to come here." Luke looked up, blood streaming down his arm, but his eyes burned with determination. "I'd rather die a fool than live as a monster like you." The words struck deeper than any blade. Vader froze. His grip on the lightsaber trembled. Inside the mask, Anakin's voice screamed, a voice he had buried for decades. "Stop. Please. Don't do this." "Father," Luke said, his voice breaking. "I know you feel it. The conflict. You don't have to do this. Let go. Let him go." Vader's breathing quickened, ragged and uneven. The throne room seemed to close in around him. Memories surged. Padme's smile, Obi-Wan's betrayal, the flames of Mustafar, the sound of his own screams. And Luke, his son, kneeling before him, refusing to hate. Vader raised his lightsaber higher. Luke closed his eyes, waiting, but the strike didn't come. Instead, Vader's blade deactivated. He staggered backward, his respirator wheezing. His hand reached toward his mask, trembling violently. Vader's voice cracked, distorted. "I cannot." Luke struggled to his feet, hope flickering in his eyes. "Father." Vader's hand dropped. His breathing steadied. When he spoke again, his voice was cold once more. "Leave, before I change my mind." Luke limped through the palace corridors, his wound still bleeding. Stormtroopers stepped aside, uncertain. Vader had given the order. Let him go. Behind him, the throne room doors sealed shut. Vader stood alone in the darkness, the weight of the Empire pressing down on him. He had everything he once desired: power, control, the galaxy at his feet. And yet, he had never felt more lost. He removed his helmet with a hiss of pressure. The scarred, pale face of Anakin Skywalker stared back at him in the reflection of the viewport. He barely recognized himself. "You don't have to do this. Let him go." Padme's voice. Luke's words. They merged, circling his mind like ghosts. Vader, no, Anakin, closed his eyes. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to feel. Not rage, not hatred, but pain. Real, raw, unbearable pain. He had lost everything. Padme, Obi-Wan, his humanity. And now he was losing Luke too. Was this truly strength? Or had he become exactly what the Emperor wanted? A slave, bound by chains of his own making? A choice formed in his mind. Terrifying. Impossible. He could continue this path. Rule the Empire with an iron fist. Crush every spark of resistance. Become the eternal tyrant, feared across the stars. Or he could let it all burn. Destroy the Empire. Free the galaxy from the Sith's shadow. And accept whatever fate awaited Anakin Skywalker, a man who had committed unspeakable evil, but who still had one chance, however small, at redemption. His hand hovered over the console. One command could bring the Empire crashing down. Another could solidify his reign forever. Luke's final words echoed in his mind. It's never too late. Anakin's finger moved toward the console. The galaxy held its breath. And in that moment, Darth Vader, or perhaps Anakin Skywalker, made his choice. The hologram flickered to life across every Imperial channel. The face behind the mask finally spoke. "I am Anakin Skywalker, and I have been a monster long enough.